All right, everybody, welcome back into Cherry Picking, presented by FanDuel Canada, North America's #1 sportsbook. Today's video, we're going to be looking at buy low, sell high goalies for the fantasy hockey season. Haven't really talked too much about goalies so far this year as we approach week 5, but I think it's about that time. And in terms of FanDuel Canada, one of the best, and I think a lot of markets that people don't really know you can bet on, is over-under saves for some of these goalies, especially some of the ones I'll actually be talking about today. For example, I just bet Saros over saves against the Flames. Been a pretty good bet for probably the past 2 years because the Flames just shoot the puck a ton and are unable to score, to be honest. I think he ended up having 35 saves, clearing his save total relatively easily. And pretty easy to kind of like handicap these markets as well, considering you just look at teams that shoot a lot. Another one I had was Gibson over saves against the Penguins. They finished with 34 or 35 shots on net as well as they won that game. Really fun market to bet, so be sure to check that out at FanDuel Canada at some point this season. All right, let's get into the video for today. All right, so the first goalie we're going to be selling high on is on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Jonas Johansson, 78% rostered, the second most fantasy points scored in Yahoo Fantasy Scoring right now amongst goalies. And if you look at his numbers, it makes sense. Obviously, he has 5 wins, just 1 regular time loss. All the rest coming in overtime. He has 4 overtime losses, which is pretty substantial. But a lot of saves as well, 311 saves, and we'll get into that as we talk about this Tampa Bay Lightning team. And one of the numbers there, I want to kind of point out 2 shutouts, and then his goal saved above expected number is 3.52. And for people who don't know what that goal saved above expected stat is, it's that GSAX there you see on that player card on the far right. It's the difference between a goalie's actual goals and the total number of expected goals he's faced. So essentially, he's definitely been, I would say, overperforming a little bit and kind of saving Tampa, something Andrei Vasilevskiy has done really well for this team over the past few seasons. And even last year, I would say that number was just enhanced because Tampa Bay's defense since last season, since losing guys like Ryan McDonough, has really struggled. Their defense doesn't give me a ton of confidence, and the numbers kind of prove that as well. If you look at where they rank amongst expected stats right now, they're bottom 12 in the league in expected goals against, scoring chances allowed, and high danger chances allowed right now. So this is one of the reasons why I want to sell high on Jonas Johansson. He's obviously played really well. Got to give him his flowers there, but second most fantasy points scored amongst goalies. That's not gonna stay forever. And I think those 2 shutouts definitely carry a lot of weight when you're looking at that. So definitely a guy I'd be looking to move right now, especially considering Andrei Vasilevskiy is going to come back at some point. Probably not before the new year, but even after the new year, it's time to get rid of this guy right now as he is playing probably the best hockey we're going to see. All right, so the first goalie we're going to want to buy low on is Filip Gustavsson on the Minnesota Wild. He's had a really shit start to the year. There's really no sugarcoating it at this point. His goal saved above expected number is worst in the NHL right now at -7.3. He has just 2 wins in 7 starts right now. He does have a shutout, but his goals against number almost 5, also a really bad number there. But I think we can see him turn it around here at some point. The Wild also haven't had the greatest start to the season, just overall in general, whether it be scoring goals and then also playing defensively as well. Remember, Jared Spurgeon has been out for the entire year. When he comes back, this defensive unit will be a little bit more structured. I think he is like the leader on this team too. You got to remember, Filip Gustavsson is a season removed from a .931 save percentage and a .210 goals against with 3 shutouts. He was top 10 last season in goals saved above expected. So I think we're just seeing just a bad stretch for Gustavsson at this point. I think he'll be able to turn around. Minnesota, top half of the league still in expected goals against and scoring chances allowed. So they've definitely shored up, I would say, a little bit more recently on the defensive side of things. Obviously, Fleury, a little bit more, it's a worrying part of trying to acquire Filip Gustavsson because you don't know where the split's going to come. But I still think Dean Evason is going to give Gustavsson his starts here, considering he is kind of what they want for the future. Bill Guerin mentioned that this offseason as well, along with their AHL goalie who's been playing really well, Jesper Wallstedt, in leagues, you know, where you're looking at some of these rookies in dynasty leagues. He's also a guy that you probably have on your roster. But Filip Gustavsson, 43rd most fantasy points in Yahoo scoring right now, but still 83% rostered. Definitely a guy I'd be looking to trade for, as I think this is probably the lowest potential value you have him at. All right, another goalie we're selling high on, Semyon Varlamov on the New York Islanders. Only has 4 starts this year, but I think that number will actually continue to increase because he has played really well to start this season. He has 2 wins, both of those wins coming on shutouts, which is pretty surprising. But you look at his numbers, like really good across the board. 950 save percentage, 177 goals against average, goals saved above expected, 7.89. That's top 4 in the NHL right now. 43% rostered. I was surprised to even see him this high rostered, but I think is still someone that you can trade for some of these buy low guys that I will have on this list talking about in this video. His goal saved above expected number is a little bit of a red flag in my mind because the Islanders give up a ton of offense. They're bottom 3 in the NHL in expected goals against. They're, I think, bottom 5 as well in shots allowed, and they're just allowing their opponents to really create a ton of quality scoring chances. And Varlamov is great, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he'll be able to keep up these numbers for the entire season. Like the 2 shutouts this early in just 4 starts is pretty wild. So he's top 20 in fantasy points as well with just 4 starts. So that's something you can kind of hold over one of your fantasy hockey league mates if you're trying to trade him to someone else. But like I said, some of these candidates for the buy low, definitely someone I think you'd be able to move for him, considering he's not the starting goalie, obviously, in New York. That's Ilya Sorokin, but still someone who's going to be rostered right now and someone I think that you can still get some decent value on, considering this is probably the highest value you'll have him at. All right, the second guy we're going to buy low on, my favorite buy low I think for this video is Carter Hart, and you guys might be a little bit puzzled because he is right now top 20 in terms of goalies fantasy hockey scoring right now, but he has 8 starts, 4 wins, 3 losses. Goals against average 2.5, and save percentage just above 900 there. His goals saved above expected number like pretty much at 0, so he's been playing like relatively adequately, I think you could say right now. But he has been hurt for the past couple games, so we've seen Samuel Ersson, Cal Peterson been playing for this Flyers team, and I think this is a great time to trade for him because he's not back just yet. I think he'll probably be back in 1 or 2 games. So some people might be frustrated with having this guy on his team at this point, but I think this is the perfect time to trade for him. Main reason being as well, the Flyers defense this year has been playing fantastic. A lot of these guys on the back end are just like stay-at-home defensemen. I think it's one of the things John Tortorella really advocates for on his hockey teams, and as well as playing like a really gritty physical game. They have that through all their forwards too there with guys like Scott Lawton, Joel Farabee, Sean Couturier. All those guys play a pretty physical brand of hockey, something that Torts loves to see from his players. But yeah, like I said, coming back from injury, I think will be one of the main reasons why you can probably buy low on Carter Hart right now. And looking at some of Philly's analytics so far this season, they're first in expected goals against, which is obviously a great stat category to be leading in, 3rd in scoring chances allowed, and 2nd in high danger chances allowed. So really limiting a lot of offense. That's what you want from one of your goalies, that and a team that's going to get some wins. And I think Philly will be able to compete in this Eastern Conference. I don't know if they'll necessarily make a playoff spot, but with how well they're playing defensively, I think it's a no-brainer to try to acquire one of these goalies, and that being Carter Hart on the Philadelphia Flyers. All right, so the last guy we're going to be selling high on in this video is Lukas Dostal on the Anaheim Ducks. So he has 5 starts this year and 5 wins. The 5th win actually came when he came in relief for John Gibson when he got hurt against Pittsburgh in their first matchup, which was in Pittsburgh as well. He has 1 loss on the season right now, so playing really good hockey with a 920 save percentage and a 2.8 goals against. Goals saved above expected, top 10 in the NHL at just around 6. He's 42% rostered, so definitely a guy that will be rostered in your league, and someone, if he's on your team, I would try and trade him right now because I think these numbers are great. But I don't think they'll be able to withstand the amount of offensive pressure that Anaheim is allowing right now. Looking at some of their stats, they're 3rd worst in expected goals against, 5th in scoring chances allowed, and bottom 10 as well in high danger chances allowed. So Anaheim has been playing great. They just ripped off 6 wins before losing to Pittsburgh, but I do think they're due for a little bit of regression here, and I think that will also come towards their goalies too, unfortunately. If you're in a dynasty league, I don't know if moving Dostal is necessarily the greatest move. I would suggest against that, but if you're just in a season-by-season league, definitely someone I'd try to get off your team right now and try to pick up one of the few guys that I mentioned in this video right now. And John Gibson is still playing a decent amount of time. I think they've probably split. If not, John Gibson has had a few more starts than Lukas Dostal at this point. So I definitely try to trade him right now. He's 17th in terms of fantasy points amongst goalies right now. So you could definitely get someone pretty decent for Dostal. All right, so the last guy we're going to be talking about in this video, another buy low, Pyotr Kochetkov on the Carolina Hurricanes. 3 starts so far in the big leagues and doesn't have a single win. 3 losses. Obviously, some really tough numbers there. You can see on your screen, .836 save percentage. Definitely not a glamorous stat to have or a number to have in that stat category. 28% rostered, so definitely a guy you could even be picking up at this point. But if you're in a deeper league, a guy that you want to add to your roster because you have Antti Ranta on the Carolina Hurricanes, but then Freddie Anderson now has these blood clot problems, and Carolina has said no timetable for return. They expect a full recovery, but when that will be is TBD, and I don't think it'll be anytime soon. So I think they're going to be relying on a tandem between these 2 goalies, and I think Kochetkov is honestly a better goalie than Antti Ranta. Ranta's great, but he's obviously getting a little bit higher up there in age, and Kochetkov still career .902 save percentage, 2.6 goals against, and last year he had 4 shutouts. So he can definitely get back up to a level playing where he's feasible to start every single night in fantasy hockey when he's getting those starts in the Rob Brind'Amour Carolina team. And one of the things too, Carolina is like one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. They control the puck all the time. They usually allow the fewest shots per game over the last 3 seasons. Top 3 in expected goals against, scoring chances against, and high danger chances. Allow just a lot of big bodies on defense and a really good depth on the offensive side of things. So I don't think you have to worry about him having too many high danger quality scoring chances against him on a nightly basis. So a guy I will definitely try to trade for right now. Bottom 6 in goals saved above expected. So when you're looking at that stat and it's that far down amongst the ranks of the NHL goalies, it can't get that much worse. And I think it's hard to get that much worse when you're playing on a team that is so defensively minded. So definitely try to get Pyotr Kochetkov, either pick him up or trade for him right now. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you thought of the buy low, sell high goalies in the comments. Let me know if you want me to do a specific position, again, whether it be defensemen, centers, left wingers, right wingers. I'm all ears there for you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. Download the FanDuel Canada app today and start betting on those save props. And I'll see you guys in the next video.